this is not the truth. I was just like, your sister's lying. And so she was like, so you're gonna call my sister a liar? And I said, well, yes, that's what she is. Like, she's lying right now. Like, she's lying to you. Like, I'm telling you, she's lying. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about my very first heartbreak, okay? And for some people, they probably think, oh, you're talking about like a relationship ending with like a boyfriend or a girlfriend. No, bitch. This is my first best friend heartbreak. Like, I'm talking about, like, I literally cried over this friendship. So I actually did a story time on this friend, and it was a story time about when her man tried to kill us, okay? And I can't remember the name I gave her in that video, so in this video her name is gonna be Joanne. And so anyways, this friend Joanne, I'm gonna give y'all the whole rundown of how I know her and, you know, what led up to this friendship breakup. Joanne and I had actually met our freshman year of high school when we had health class together. And the crazy thing about it is, the thing that made me want to even talk to her is because the teacher had already knew her off rip. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is like a teacher that worked in a middle school or something or whatever. But turns out she had her own lore with this personal teacher, okay? But I didn't know that. I just thought that, you know, the teacher had really liked her. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna be buddy with this girl, because, you know, I do not have the best track record of, you know, being on teachers' good side. So I need to, you know, I always end up having friends who end up being very likable by teachers, and I'm always like the opposite or whatever. So anyways, that's initially what gravitated me towards her. And I know that's like wrong as hell, but that was just my mindset at the time. So anyways, we ended up being friends and ended up clicking instantly. And something that we had in common that we just was like, oh my gosh, is that she's Caribbean and I'm Caribbean, because she has one Caribbean parent and one American parent, such as I have one Caribbean parent and one American parent, except for me it's my dad who's the Caribbean parent and my mom is American. And then it's the reverse for her. Her mom is Caribbean, her dad is the American. And also too, her dad is a nurse and my mom's a nurse. So it was just like, oh my gosh, like, we have so much in common. Like, that's crazy how our lives kind of like parallel in a little way. So anyways, also too, it's funny, like I said, it paralleled because she has two younger sisters, and her sister closest in age with her, they're 8 years apart, whereas me and my oldest sister, we're freaking 9 years apart. So like I said, we just had a lot in common. So anyways, me and her gravitated towards each other and just was tight like glue. Like, you could not see Joanna and not see me. Same could be said for her, right? And that first semester of high school, we also had lunch together. So besides having health class, we also had lunch. So we would always talk together in class, hang out, also sit together at lunch, all of that, okay? Like, we was locked in. But once second semester rolled around, we didn't have any classes together, and we kind of drifted apart a little bit. Plus, she started hanging out with these people who I kind of viewed as losers. I'm not gonna lie, they was losers. All they did was want to smoke weed and not really do good in school. Versus my friend Joanna, like, even though she was blowing down the packs too. One thing about baby, her mama and her daddy did not play that. I remember one time when we was in high school, she got all her devices taken away because she had a 78, y'all. Her parents was strict as fuck, okay? Did not play that. So with that being said, like, she was a complete opposite of them, and I'm like, babes, you're not like that. Like, you're not like these niggas. Like, come on now, this is not you. And I don't know what made her snap out of it, but finally one day she just was like, okay, I'm not hanging out with them no more, and I'm not gonna be smoking weed with them no more or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm happy that you know, you dropping these, like, these turkeys. You need to be soaring with the eagles, okay? So anyways, I ended up transferring to another school once our sophomore year went into place, and we kind of like lost contact. Like, we would still talk every once in a while, but we were not as close as we once used to be. And the school that I had previously went to for that 1 year in high school, like I had told y'all in previous videos, it wasn't like a traditional high school where you could take the bus and it'll drop you off at home. No, if you took the bus, it would drop you off at your home school or the home school closest to you. And so my home school was one of those drop-off locations. So sometimes I would run into her while waiting for my uncle to come pick me up, and sometimes we would talk while she's waiting for her ride or anything, because sometimes her parents would pick her up, sometimes they would have her walk home. It just kind of depended on the day. So anyways, once I decided that I wanted to go back to my home school, I went back to my home school for my junior year, and that's when we just fell into like place like nothing ever changed. Like, I don't know, like that was just how we was. Like, we fell right back into place and was just close instantly, like all over again. So at this point, now we're in a big friend group. It's me, her, and 2 other friends, right? And we just all really close. We really close. And then by the time we all graduated, it went from being 4 of us to just 3 of us, and we still was hanging out all the time. Like, I'm talking about, if one of us wasn't at school or work, we would all be hanging out together like all the time, especially at Joanna's house, because it was just like, I don't know, like her spot was just the hangout spot, okay? So anyways, we was just so freaking close. But I felt like things started to change when she had started to date this boy, right? And this is a boy that, like I said, tried to freaking kill us. So for this story, we're going to call her boyfriend Peter. So she started dating Peter, and one thing about Peter is he comes from money. Like, my friend Joanna knew him from growing up because they did go to elementary school together for a short period of time, and so that's how they knew each other. But the difference is that she came from hustlers that's trying to make a way, trying to get that money, trying to build a foundation for her family, whereas he came from a family that is like, you know, we got that money, like we comfortable, we got the money, like we got our own huge big house, we got 3 stories in the house with the basement and all that. Like, that's like the kind of, you know, money he come from. Like, he got suburban money, okay? So they came from 2 different backgrounds, and once they got together, like, I feel like she wanted to be with him partially because she did enjoy his company and actually liked him, and like on top of them having that, you know, history from elementary school. But also too, I felt like he had offered her like a life that she could escape, because like I said, she comes from a background where her parents had to work very, very hard, and unfortunately her parents had split up. So she was mostly raised by her mom. She would still be with her dad and stuff because he was still active in her life, but you know how that go. Once your parents split up and you stay with one parent, that's the main parent you with most of the time. So anyways, she always like knew a life of her parents being together. So like once they split, it kind of like took a toll on her. And I feel like, you know, whereas Peter, his parents were still married to this day that I know of, and so it kind of gave like, okay, like this is the life I want, this is what I want for myself, and you know, Peter can possibly provide that. But I didn't really look at it like that at the time, because Peter was toxic. He was always cheating on her, doing my bitch down bad, okay? So at this point, like I said, like he doing my sister down bad, like he done cheated a few times. And the first time me and her had like drifted in our friendship was initially when like they had first kind of got together. And I don't know, like I had sensed like the energy was just different with her, and she was kind of like being distant, but like was not saying what was up with her until one day I kind of just was like, is there something up with you? Like, what's tea? Like, what's going on? And she was like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't know how to tell you this, but you know, I didn't want to hurt your feelings because you're already going through enough with your other friend. Because at that time, like I said, if y'all watch my videos on her and like how I had a few friendship breakups in the past, like it was during that time. So she was like, you know, you're already going through a lot with like falling out with your other friend, and I didn't want to add on to that because she was just like, you know, I don't know if you were gonna possibly do something to yourself and whatnot. And she's just like, I wanted to wait till you got to a better place to kind of tell you, which I felt like was dumb, because I would never knock somebody while they finally starting to get to a better point. Personally, me, if you're gonna deliver bad news, I'd rather you deliver when I'm already sad and down and out, because then I can just wallow and just be sick as fuck in that moment, but then get over that shit later on, versus I'm getting all happy and then now you tell me that now I'm back in that whole space again. Like, girl, bye. So anyways, we took some space from each other and we had stopped talking, and I didn't hear from her for a month. I didn't reach out to her for nothing or anything because I wanted to give her her space. And I was just like, you know what, if she truly wanted to be my friend, if we're truly meant to be friends, she'll come back. And guess what, after a month, guess what, she randomly hit me up and we became really close again, and we started mingling again, and just, you know, getting into our flow of things. So anyways, the thing that made us initially fall out, okay, that was like, you know what, this is the last straw for me, I'm done with this, I don't want to, you know, keep trying to push something that don't work, was when I had decided to introduce my little cousin and her little sister, y'all. That was one of the biggest mistakes that I could have ever made. Okay, so let me tell y'all why I felt like this was one of the biggest mistakes that I could have ever made, okay? So at the time, right, my little cousin was going through a lot in her personal life, as well as my best friend Joanne's little sister. And for context, like I said, Joanne's little sister is 8 years younger than Joanne and I. And my little cousin is only 7 years younger because she's a year older than Joanna's sister. So anyways, like I said, they were both going through a lot at the time because my cousin was having family issues and she had to kind of like uproot her life and move schools and stuff. And so I just knew that like it wasn't going to be easy trying to adjust to having to like change your whole flow of things, especially as a child. And then also too, like I said, Joanne's sister was going through a lot of stuff but with her mental health. So I said, you know what, this would be perfect to introduce these two young ladies together because I felt like they would be really great friends. First off, they were only a year apart. And also too, one thing about them is that they both enjoy and are passionate about doing hair. Like I'm talking about, they've been slicking down, laying the heck out of their hair since middle school. Like I didn't start really getting to know my hair until I was in high school, early college, whereas these young ladies was over here doing stuff that I can barely halfway do, or I'm just now learning to do that they was been doing. Like for example, they knew how to do quick weaves by the time they was in 8th grade, 8th and 9th grade. I just learned how to do a quick weave like last year. So with that being said, like these girls was very advanced for their age, like, and they just both had like a drive that I seen in each other. I was just like, you know what, y'all would be perfect to, you know, meet because, you know, this will be great for both of y'all just to have some type of company and to have some friends that you actually have similarities with. Like not only do y'all come from black areas, but y'all are also passionate about your hair, you're passionate about just being a girly girl and just, you know, being yourself. And I love that about them. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna introduce them. And the thing about it is, at that time I used to take my cousins skating all the time. Like I would take them skating almost every Friday. I would go and pick them up, I would drive the 30 minutes and then drive all the way back to my side of town, take them to the skating rink, and then I would drop them back off, or sometimes they would sleep over depending on, you know, if I had to work the next day. But if I am not mistaken, I think at that time I did work at Amazon, so I used to drop they behind right back at the house. So anyways, I used to take them, like I said, skating all the time. And so my friend's little sister also enjoyed skating too. That was another thing that they had in common. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. So I had asked my friend's mom if it was okay if I could take them all skating and stuff, just to introduce them, like to, you know, get to, you know, make friends and kind of get to know each other. And like, you know, the first time that they met, it took a little minute to get like warmed up with each other, but by the end of it, they had exchanged Instagram. So I was like, okay, period. I said, well, if y'all enjoyed each other's company and y'all like this, let me know. I will gladly take y'all skating another time. Just let me know. Like, it's all dependent on y'all if y'all actually enjoyed y'allselves. But you know, if y'all don't think y'all are a match, let me know and I won't do it. Well, sure enough, after like a week of just talking and getting to know each other, FaceTiming, all that stuff, they had went and asked me like, hey, can we please like go skating again? Like we really want to go skating and stuff. Like we really want to do a sleepover, but unfortunately we're not able to because like I said, my little cousin had like her life was uprooted, so she had to move out of the area, and where she moved to, it did not have the space to have a sleepover. It was barely enough space for her and her brother, so it was just like, okay, we can't do it there. Then we couldn't do it at Joanna's house either because again, it was a space issue. It wasn't about an issue of my little cousin sleeping over, it was just, like I said, a space issue. So I said, okay, well, how about this, if y'all still want to have a sleepover, I will host a sleepover at my house because we have more than enough space, and you know, we have, like, you know, it's like a perfect medium. It's down the street from Joanna's house, but also too, my cousin is with family, so she's safe and sound. Like the people that she was staying with did not have to worry about her. So anyways, both parties agreed that was fine, and I was like, okay, great, let's do it. So the way that I had this itinerary set out is that I was gonna get them both the night before, and then we were gonna like get some food, eat, and chill in the house. But then the next day I was gonna take them to the mall, and then we were gonna go skating later on that day. And the thing is, I had a hair appointment that day that I was gonna take them all skating. So the plan was, okay, when we wake up early, I'm gonna drop them off at the mall so that way they can walk around, because I don't know how it is in other states or even in other counties, but where I live, on the weekends after like 3 p.m. kids are not allowed in the mall without parent supervision. So I was like, okay, it's Saturday, I'm gonna drop y'all off early in the morning, like 10 a.m. so y'all can have a couple of hours to walk around the mall. And because too, it'll kind of give y'all first dibs, because I know a lot of kids are not gonna be up and bright and early at the mall at no 10 a.m. Most of the time when kids come to the mall on the weekend, it's not until like noon, early afternoon, or whatever. So I was like, okay, like this will give y'all time to like really thoroughly look and find something to wear, because they wanted to go to the mall so they can buy like matching outfits, or at least like a matching shirt, or so I thought, because initially they just said that they wanted to match shirts. So the next day come, and I drop them off at the mall, and I tell them, I said, hey, if anything happens, if anything pops off, I said this is where I'll be at, because I was going to get my hair braided at this plaza right across from the mall. And I was like, this is where I'll be at, so if anything happens or you can't like call me, run over here as soon as you can, but be safe. But if anything happens to where I just need to run over there, just let me know, I'll come pick y'all up, no problem. They said, okay, cool. And the thing was, before we had even picked up my little cousin, my friend Joanna's mom had only sent her little sister $20 for her. Mind you, $20 was only enough to cover her getting into the skating rink and also covering her getting something to eat. That was it. And like I said, they wanted to match shirts. So I told Joanna's little sister, we're gonna call her Jari. So I told Jari, I was like, Jari girl, if your mom don't send more money, then I don't mind letting you take the $20 to go buy a matching shirt, and I'll just pay for you to get into the skating rink and get you something to eat. I said, but if she does send you more money, you know, that money needs to be divided up equally for the skating rink, something to eat, and still have enough to get whatever your matching shirts is, okay? And she said, okay, that's fine, that's no problem, right? So like I said, her mom initially just sent $20, but then after she hit her mom up like, hey, I wanted to get matching shirts with my friend, like, can you send me a little bit more money? Her mom sent her an extra $20, so in total she had $40, right? So I said, okay, you got $40, so you better hold on to it and use it wisely, because like I said, if she sends more money, you got to pay for it. And she's like, okay, that's no problem, that's fine. I said, okay, great. So like I said, dropped them off at the mall, I'm getting my hair braided, everything is going right, when I had called my little cousins, you know, check on them and be like, you know, what are y'all doing? Like, what's tea? And so she was telling me like, oh, right now we're just in the store trying to buy our matching shirt. And I was like, okay, cool. So then she was just like, but it's a little expensive, and Jari is saying that she's trying to buy matching pants too, and it's gonna eat up all her money. And I was just like, Jari, I already told you that, you know, you still have to balance your money enough to go to the skating rink and get you something to eat, so you might not be able to get the matching pants, because I'm like, you still need to have money left over to provide for your way to get into the skating rink. So she was like, okay, cool. So then I was like, all right, my hair is almost done, I'll call y'all when my hair is finished, and I'm coming on the way up there. So they said, okay, cool, hang up. Maybe like 30 minutes later, they called me and it was like, hey, we're at the food court. Jari only has enough to get she only has enough money to literally get a meal and get into the skating rink, like barely enough, like she's like $1 or $2 short. And I said, okay, well, I'll just pay the $2, but I was just like, she need to be on a budget. So I was just like, if she wants to get a cheaper meal, like maybe get a kid's meal instead of a regular adult meal, she could do that, because it'll save her a little bit more money so she could still get into the skating rink. So then she was like, oh, okay. And so then they do that, right? So then we go to the freaking skating rink, y'all, and this mess was a disaster because the whole time that we're in there, like, I told them, I said, hey, y'all need to stick together. Like, we all came together, we're all leaving together, y'all need to stick together. So they said, okay, cool. And I'm not like leaving them or anything. I wasn't gonna drop them off and go back home because I'm gonna stay there. First off, I'm not going all the way back home. I'm not wasting no gas. Second, I'm like, just in case if something happens, I need to be alert, I need to be aware, so that way I can be like, okay, well, let's leave, because, you know, like I said, we all came together, so we're all leaving together, and I'm your guardian in this moment, so it's my job to keep you safe, right? So they're skating, having fun, but the problem is that Jari keeps out skating my little cousin. And the thing is, my cousin skates really fast, but Jari skates fast as hell. And so at first, my little cousin was getting irritated and was like, Jari keeps leaving me. Like, I don't know why she keeps leaving me. Like, it's like she's skating too fast. So I tell Jari, like, hey, girl, you skating a little too fast. You need to keep up with, oh, girl, y'all came together. Like, why are you even trying to skate off? Like, I told her, unless y'all are competing, like, in the sense of having, like, a race, there's no reason why you should be leaving her. Like, even when it comes to going to the bathroom, y'all need to go together, or at least let me know, like, hey, I'm going to the restroom, so I can keep an eye on the one person who is not in the restroom. Like, y'all need to communicate these things. So she's like, okay, cool. But the problem is that my little cousin, like, almost every 10 minutes she keep coming back, like, Jari keep leaving me. And I'm like, okay. And so I was like, why does she keep leaving you? She's like, well, she keeps leaving me to go skate with that boy, right? And mind you, Jari is a year younger than my little cousin. So Jari was in the 7th grade, my little cousin was in the 8th grade. And I was like, that's weird, especially because Jari parents is strict as fuck. Girl, stop playing. They strict as fuck. So I was like, girl, if they even know that you talking to a boy, they gonna be in your ass and gonna be in my ass. Like, I already know what's up with your parents. Like, baby, I know what's good with them. They don't play that. So like I said, I pulled Jari to the side. I'm like, hey, girl. I was like, you can't keep leaving my little cousin. Like, y'all came together, y'all leave together. And I was just like, she keeps telling me that you're skating away to go skate with some boy. And Jari then was like, I'm not skating away to skate with some boy. This boy keeps trying to talk to me, and I keep trying to just like skate away from him so he can leave me alone, but I keep on leaving her. And that's when I told her, I said, you need to verbally tell him, like, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, I don't want to, you know, be bothered. Do not keep following me. Because I was just like, unfortunately, men like to act dumb, especially young boys. And I was just like, if you don't verbally say something to them, sometimes they will try to take that as, oh, she's just trying to flirt with me, she's just trying to pay hard to get, when that's not the case. So I said, you need to vocalize yourself, because I said, God forbid if he keeps bothering you or something else happens, at least you have, I kept skating away and I told him to leave me alone, and that's enough. Like, at that point, it's just like, okay, like, you did everything in your power to get him to leave you alone. Now we need to take matters in our hands if that's the case, like, if you keep fucking with you. So I said, okay, like, I understand, like, just be more conscientious, because, you know, you guys came together, and if you stick in a group, a lot of times men are less likely to bother you when you're in a group versus when you're alone. So I was just like, that's another reason why I need y'all to stick together, because I was just like, if you're noticing he's only coming up to you when you're by yourself, I said, stop giving yourself opportunities to be by yourself. I was just like, I understand you want to skate fast, but I said, you came here with your friend, you need to be skating along with your friend. She said, okay, cool. So I was like, okay, cool, that's great. So then fast forward to, I ended up dropping them both off. They both said they had a great time and enjoyed themselves, when randomly, a few days later, y'all, my friend asked me, like, what happened with Juri? And this is Joanna, her big sister. She was like, what happened with her? Like, and I'm like, what do you mean what happened with her? Like, what are you talking about? Because I'm confused, because I'm thinking we had a good dandy old time, when Joanna is like, no, she told me that you were like really mean to her the whole time, and that like you refused to buy her food and all this different stuff, and that all, like, basically making it seem like that I was just this like evil monstrous person. And I was like, what? And I was just like, no, that's not the case. And just like how I told y'all, I explained to her everything that happened, and she was like, oh, okay, cool. And then she was just like, the only issue I have is, she's just like, you know, even though you did communicate to her that, you know, if our mom sent her more money, you know, I would have just still paid for the food regardless, because she was like, if roles was reversed, even if I was annoyed that I had to pay for your cousin, I would have just did it. And I was just like, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I was just like, you know, I expressed to her, if your mother sends more money, that I would not be paying, so it's up to her to properly spend her money. And I was just like, and that's how you teach children to spend their money, because I said, if you keep always bailing them out, they're never going to learn from their like mistakes. They're never going to learn from this type of stuff. And she was just like, yeah, I get it, like she does this stuff all the time with us, so she probably thought that you wouldn't have an issue with it. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, that's why I'm telling you, like, stop trying to bail her out, right? So anyways, like I said, I'm just telling her, like, yeah, that's what happened, like that's all that happened. And I said, you know, this is like everything that happened from beginning to end. And I even told her about the skatering thing. But the thing is, Joanna had misinterpreted what I said, because I kept saying, oh yeah, Jerry kept talking to this boy and was skating off and leaving my cousin. And I should have worded it differently by saying she kept skating off because he kept like bothering her. But because from my perspective, when I would see them, they were just like talking. It didn't look like she was uncomfortable or anything. Like she was kind of like smiling and or whatever. So she didn't look uncomfortable at all. So in my head, I was just like, okay, like they're just talking. So when I had told Joanna that, in her head, she took it as talking as they were dating, not as they were having just having a conversation. So immediately Jerry got in so much trouble, and that's when it like just got blew up out of nowhere. And her and my little cousin, they start making up even more lies. And so I'm telling Jerry, like, none of the stuff that they're saying is true. Like, I literally told you the truth. I even told you about everything I did, from me telling your little sister that I was not gonna pay for her if your mom sent her more money. Like, if that was the case, like, why would I tell you that but not tell you the other stuff if that other stuff was true? I said, but because those other things are not true, I was just like, that's why they were not said, because this is not the truth. I was just like, your sister's lying. And so she was like, so you're gonna call my sister a liar? And I said, well, yes, that's what she is. Like, she's lying right now. Like, she's lying to you. Like, I'm telling you, she's lying. Like, I don't have no reason to lie to you. I have no reason to lie at all. There's no reason for me to lie. But guess what? Children lie all the time. Like, they lie to get themselves out of trouble. And I know for a fact, because I used to be a kid at one moment. And guess what? I used to lie about stupid shit too. So I understand. Like, I'm not judging her, because as kids, we all make mistakes. And we all do things that we know we're not supposed to do or whatever. So anyways, my little cousin and her sister are lying down. They are lying so bad, to the point where my best friend has basically stopped talking to me, right? So then when she started back talking to me, randomly she started going off on me in our group chat. Mind you, we was talking in our text personally, but then she took the messages to our group chat that we had with our other friend. And so now she's going all the way off on me. And in the chat, I'm trying to, like, you know, defend myself and tell her, like, you know, like, I'm telling you the truth. Like, I have no reason to lie to you. They are not telling the truth. She did not believe me whatsoever. Like, even her family didn't believe me. And it was to the point where they had fired me from their restaurant, because I was working at her family's restaurant at the time. And they fired me. And I was sick as fuck, because I was just like, bro, like, I'm telling you the truth and you don't even believe me, right? So then I said, fuck it, right? And I just stopped talking to her. And so I didn't talk to her for a month, when out of nowhere she randomly had called me and was like, hey, I'm calling you because first I want to apologize, because it turns out you were right. My sister was lying. She finally did come clean and all that stuff. And I feel so terrible that I didn't believe you and whatnot. And she just was apologizing and was like, I'm looking for closure and I hope that we could be friends again. And I was just like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care to be friends anymore, because I was like, this is the second time that you believed somebody over me. Like, you believed somebody that was lying on me, and when I tried to, like, plead my case and I'm telling you the truth, you insist that I'm the liar and that I'm not telling the truth, and you cut me off only for you to then be told by that same person, like, hey, I was lying, and then you want to, like, come back to me. I was just like, I don't like that. I was like, the fact that you did this twice will means you'll do it another time, and I'm not willing for you to keep breaking my heart. I said, I was sick as fuck when you cut me off the first time for that boy. And I said, so the fact that this is the second time that you basically cut me off for some bullshit, especially because your sister lied on me, made me sick as fuck. And y'all, that mess hurt me so bad that I could not be her friend anymore. Like, and still to this day, like, I still wish nothing for the best for her, but like, I just cannot bring myself to being her friend, because I know that she could possibly hurt me like that again with no issue, and I can't have that. But with that being said, I hope you guys like this story time. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.